Wife infidelities led to husband's imprisonment, followed by an unexpected gift box from him causing her to scream. The spousal support is fixed at $20 monthly, and you will continue paying $1,000 for child support and health insurance until your child reaches 18, with additional coverage of college expenses, the judge declared. This decision would cost me over $6,500 every month, despite my wife's affairs with multiple lawyers in her firm. I was the one being taken advantage of. I am Kurt D'Angelo, and my ex-wife is Lily. Our daughter Regina holds great importance to me. She wanted me to have custody, but the judge ruled against it. The trial felt unfair, particularly considering the high monthly support given Lily's income. It appeared the judge was prejudiced against me, but I wasn't going to take it lying down. I devised a plan to make Lily regret her actions. I possess an aptitude for capitalizing on opportunities, some of which have been questionable in the past. Currently, my ventures span real estate and coin-changing companies. My unique coin-changing business enables me to disperse spousal support in coins, creating inconvenience for Lily as she manages taking them to the bank and counting them alongside her lawyer associates. Lily cared for Regina until she began school, after which she advanced into a paralegal role. She swiftly climbed the career ladder, catching the attention of a rising attorney who offered her a position as his assistant. In retrospect, I question whether she was bartering favors even at that stage. As her profession flourished, she pushed for a move to a more luxurious neighborhood to exhibit our prosperity, contradictory to my preference for our tranquil oak forest abode. Hence, we purchased a $900,000 house and furnished it according to her preferences, but I always felt uneasy in that environment. Revisiting the situation now, it is evident that our life aspirations were disparate. I favored a humble lifestyle, while she yearned for opulence. Returning to the divorce judgment, the judge ruled in favor of equitable distribution, and we're now navigating through the process. Despite Lily's displeasure, I planned to adhere to his guidelines. Over the ensuing month, preparations were made. My daughter would receive her child support payments, while not a penny would reach Lily. The funds would instead be directed to Regina's account. Moreover, Regina would secure quality health insurance, whereas Lily was left with a high-deductible policy. Following the lapse of 30 days, it was time for Lily's initial spousal support payment. An armored truck was dispatched to her residence. Baffled and accompanied by a friend, she stood as bags filled with coins were offloaded, piquing the interest of onlookers who watched as the coins cascaded onto her floor. As the vehicle departed, she vented at me. I responded only with a wave and a call, "Enjoy your money from your lover." On Tuesday, a man accosted me, inquiring if I was Kurt D'Angelo. Remaining silent, he snapped my picture with a summons in hand. When I declined to accept it, he discarded it, saying, "You've been served," and departed. Following his departure, I retrieved the summons, recognizing that I had a court appearance scheduled for next Wednesday, allowing me ample time to prepare. The ensuing week was spent meticulously preparing for court and discussing related matters. Regina joined me for lunch during this period, expressing her dismay towards her mother. I cautioned her about the possibility of incarceration if the judge did not support my case. On the day of the trial, we waited with my attorney when Lily and her lawyer arrived. They taunted me, and when Regina attempted to intervene, the judge reprimanded her for interrupting. My lawyer, defending me amidst unsubstantiated accusations and favoring Lily, stated, "Your Honor, we're unaware of any such accusations, and none have been raised prior to this. However, I do possess a report from a psychiatrist containing pertinent information. Nonetheless, my stance remains unchanged." 4 months ago, Regina was grappling with her divorce at school, so we arranged for her to consult with a psychiatrist. It seems that Lily found something in those notes that she believed would strengthen her case before the judge. I have never engaged in any improper conduct with my daughter. I was being unfairly portrayed by Lily, causing me great distress. It was unthinkable that she would fabricate accusations against me for actions I didn't commit. The judge refused to hear my defense. Angrily, I glared at the judge, feeling he would come to regret his decision. It appeared as though Lily's law firm held significant influence. We shall see how things unfold in the end. My desire for retribution was evidently showing. Lily's attorney declared, "We seek the court's ruling that Kurt D'Angelo committed a wrong." Mirroring my anger, my attorney also voiced his frustration. He recognized the lack of fairness today. "Your Honor," he argued, "my client has complied with every requirement stated in the divorce agreement. There is no basis for asserting he did something wrong." "Your Honor," Lily's attorney responded, "he made the monthly payment, but it was all in coins, predominantly pennies and nickels. This resulted in a mess and caused damage to the floor." "But," questioned the judge, "it created a mess and caused damage," Lily's attorney repeated. However, my lawyer intervened before the judge could respond further. "Honorable Judge," Lily's counsel interjected, "as per Section 513 of Title 31, United States Code, payments via coins and bills are valid for all debts, including alimony. My client has made all required payments, such as insurance, mortgage, and child support." "Indeed, Your Honor," my counsel acknowledged. "However, the child support funds have been used solely for Mr. D'Angelo's daughter's needs. You may verify this with her." The judge appeared perplexed, looking towards Regina, who nodded in approval. "We have evidence of payments for insurance and mortgage," my counsel emphasized. Lily and her lawyer seemed troubled upon hearing this. "Your Honor," he pleaded, "my client finds it difficult to pay with change. Can we switch to checks in the future?" The judge then interjected his thoughts. "That seems reasonable." Before further discussion, however, my counsel posed additional questions. "Honorable Judge," he inquired, "could you address a few queries first?" The defendant inquired, "What exactly are we discussing?" He questioned whether the Chicago police were part of this jurisdiction's legal system. The judge appeared perplexed. "Indeed, they are," the lawyer clarified. "Then why," he persisted, "if my client's vehicle is confiscated by the Chicago police and he wishes to retrieve it from their impound, he can't pay with a check, he must use cash or credit instead?" The judge hesitated in his response. "Ah," the lawyer continued, "if the police, who you acknowledge are part of Chicago's legal system, won't accept a check, why should my client be compelled to pay future spousal support with one?" The judge, now embarrassed, became defensive. "Because this is my court, and I decide the rules." Exasperated, I rose and stated, "You're the law here, merely trying to appease my wife's legal firm. Were you also associated with her?" This enraged him. "Mr. D'Angelo, you're in contempt of court. 6 months at Cook County Jail looms unless you apologize and comply with my demands," he threatened. "Who do you suppose you're addressing, ruler of this flawed court?" I retorted angrily. The judge appeared startled, possibly never having been spoken to in such a manner before. "Deputy, escort him out." I glanced at Lily and her attorney. They looked taken aback. "I wish you luck in obtaining your corrupt funds now, which," I sneered. She was clueless about the upheaval her life was on the verge of experiencing. I was escorted to holding, required to disrobe, then transferred to prison. "Prison is a more accurate term for what it truly is," I mused. Immediately upon arrival, 2 guards began harassing me about disrespecting the judge. I wasn't intimidated by the prospect of jail. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches and weighing around 255 pounds, primarily muscle, maintaining my rental properties kept me fit. Additionally, I had previously served time in juvenile detention. They processed me, then led me to the cell yard. I shut out all the noise and chaos. Initially, I intended to keep a low profile and be cautious. As long as no one disturbed me, I aimed to blend in. During dinner that evening, I collected my tray and moved through the line. I leaned against a wall, eating while surveying the other rough-looking individuals. Above the din, I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. "Tex," said a familiar voice from my delinquent past. My street companions called me Tex. "Tex," said Randall, also known as Ringer. "What are you doing here?" As he approached, everyone turned to look at us. I put down my tray and gave him a brotherly hug. With right hands clasped and an arm around his shoulders, we embraced. Ringer man, it's great to see you. How have you been? Not well, evidently. I'm here. And you? Why are you in this predicament? I told the judge he was a fool, essentially. That'll do it, he laughed. So, for how long are you serving time? 6 months, unless I apologize to that someone. In about 6 months, it seems. We conversed, dined, and drew a few curious glances from fellow inmates. Ringer filled me in on the upcoming situation. He pledged his support, and I reciprocated. We shared memories of times past. Upon hearing all this, he queried about my intentions regarding the ex, her associates, and the judge. Given my history, revenge has often been my response. That's why they nicknamed me Tex. They called me Tex, referring to Texas, a place known for its tough stance. Anyone who crossed that line paid dearly. They'd think twice about bothering me again, and word would certainly spread. So, what transpired with the judge? He inquired. I essentially told him he was worthless. Wow, how did he respond? He asked. He took my child away, despite her wishes to stay with me, and then he implicated me in harming her. Wow, so what's your next step? I replied that I have some plans in motion. I knew there was a possibility of this happening, so I started making arrangements weeks ago. Do you require assistance? He proposed. Perhaps. Maybe I'll consider it. I'm still undecided, but it's reassuring to have you as a companion here. I'll present some of my acquaintances to you. It's crucial to have individuals you can rely on when you need them. That evening, while lying in bed, I pondered over the circumstances that led me here. Recalling my turbulent childhood with an abusive father and a passive mother, I recognized the streets served as my sanctuary. I associated with a group of boys who experienced similar hardships, not a gang, but simply kids dealing with difficult circumstances. Our actions didn't contribute positively to Lansing's crime rate, mostly petty crimes, but we did manage to steal a couple of cars, landing me in juvie. Looking back, it was a pivotal moment. I vowed to reform and strive for a better future. At 20, I purchased a tax-foreclosed house, the first of many that I renovated and rented out. At 22, at a club whose name I can't remember, I encountered Lily. Her life was starkly different from mine. She was brought up in Seymour, Indiana, a town renowned for John Cougar Mellencamp. Despite our disparities, there was an instant connection, leading us to marry within a year and have Regina, named after Lily's mother, the following year. In search of a flip, I purchased a house in Oak Forest, but upon seeing it, she fell in love, transforming it into our home instead. Over the subsequent decade, we undertook the house together, raising our daughter, hosting barbecues, and living the quintessential American life. However, when Lily landed a job at a law firm, changes ensued, particularly her demeanor. The simple life was no longer satisfactory. She desired costly garments, jewelry, and dining out, replacing our backyard BBQs. She also began to make disrespectful remarks about the residents of Southside Chicago. I acknowledged the Southside standing, yet Lily, a small-town girl, displayed an air of superiority towards everyone else. We disagreed on her attitude, and shortly thereafter, she proposed we relocate to the North Side. 3 years ago, we moved as planned, hoping for better schools, but Regina encountered snobbish peers. Longing to return home, both she and I expressed our desires, but Lily resisted. The divorce commenced one evening as she mentioned she was off to dance. I traced her phone and witnessed her dancing sensually with men from the club, kissing and groping blatantly. At approximately 9:15, a necessity arose for me to visit the restroom. During this time, one man exited the restroom, another man entered immediately following. "Joe, you were quite close with Lily on the dance floor," the first man observed. "Yes, right there," Joe responded. "She's quite wild," Joe added. "She can certainly talk," the second man chimed in. "Indeed, she mentioned she's going home with me tonight," Joe boasted. "Quick relief is all right, but it's nothing compared to the full experience," the second man noted. "Tonight promises to be a lengthy one," Joe bragged. "Perhaps next week it will be my turn," the second man said as they exited the restroom. Their conversation appeared to go beyond simple boasting. Exiting the club, I spotted her in the embrace of a male colleague on the dance floor. At around 9:30, she contacted me, explaining that she had overindulged and felt uncomfortable taking the L train late at night. She planned to spend the night at Paula's, another coworker from her office. I responded nonchalantly, "That's fine." She apologized. Regret was in store for her. I trailed them as they exited the club, engrossed in each other. Unnoticed, I followed them to his Lexus, where they continued their affections. Anger swelled within me, but my South Side resilience prevailed, and I composed myself, formulating a plan. I tracked them to his residence. They entered the parking garage, so I made my way to the mansion. Upon arrival, I informed Regina we were leaving permanently, suggesting she pack whatever she desired since we wouldn't be returning. She was elated, but questioned about our mother. I mentioned she had others to provide for her, and she comprehended promptly. It took approximately 3 hours to pack everything into my truck. Fortunately, our previous residence in Oak Forest was vacant, offering us a destination. By 11 the following morning on Saturday, she phoned me, "Kurt, what's going on?" "Where are you?" I responded, "At home." She quickly pieced together the reason for my absence. She questioned, understanding the cause, "I don't recognize you anymore, and I don't wish to." "Where's Regina?" I responded, "With me. She no longer wants to reside with you there." Uncertain whether I knew about her affair or not, she attempted to clarify. "Come on, Kurt. Despite your dislike for opulence, it doesn't give you the right to depart and take our daughter." I retorted, "No, Lily, but a wife's infidelity provides sufficient reason to leave. Prepare for divorce papers next week." She reacted with astonishment, then spoke in her typical abrasive tone, "You low-life Southsider, you have no idea what trouble you're stirring up. My firm will annihilate you." I responded, "Perhaps, but I'll emerge victorious." For the following 6 months, she made no effort to reconcile our issues. Regina disclosed Lily's disappearance late into the evening, along with her biting remarks about me and suggestions for Regina to marry a wealthy man for a lavish lifestyle. However, Regina stood up for me, expressing her desire to return to Oak Forest. Currently incarcerated, Lily may believe she has triumphed, but I will utilize this time to orchestrate my retaliation. I ponder if she's contemplated how expenses will be covered, or her insurance and support. Then, on a Thursday, an event transpired that would significantly affect numerous lives, including those I had never encountered. The guards escorted me to a video room without my lawyer. They ordered me to take a seat for a hearing. After closing the door, they brought in 6 inmates, and I sensed impending trouble. I regained consciousness in the infirmary, battered and aching. They sought to demonstrate their authority, and this was their chosen method. It seemed like a morning scene from the light filtering through the window. I had spent the entire night outside. Staring at the nurse, I harbored resentment towards the system that took my child, drained my finances for my ex's extravagance, and imprisoned me. Restrained and filled with rage, her words echoed in my ears. "I'm here to assist, not cause harm. You're in need of healing, or you can remain in pain." Mustering a smile, I apologized for my fury, and she empathized. She departed momentarily, only to return with breakfast and releasing my bound hand. As I dined, I requested a favor to see Randall Turner. She promised to inquire and set up the visit. Upon his arrival, he blurted out, "Oh crap." He recognized that I wouldn't let this go unpunished. I recounted the 6 men and 2 guards who assaulted me, then demanded, "I require their full names, not just their aliases." He repeated his surprise, "Oh crap," followed by, "What's your strategy?" To which I responded, "An eye for an eye, but with a twist. I'll try to obtain the names, you just provide them." "Very well," he agreed. "What do you need me to do?" I retorted. "Just that, I'll manage the rest." After more conversation, he was escorted back to his cell. Night was sleepless, confined to the bed with discomfort. The following day, Ringer reappeared with a list. Again he inquired, "What's your move?" I responded. "The less you're involved, the better." He grumbled, "Oh dear." The next day, Sunday, yielded mixed outcomes. Lily arrived together with Regina. Lily initiated, "Guess you're palling around with more lowlifes," she commented. "What's your purpose here?" I growled. Regina suggested we converse. Are you prepared to apologize and be rational now? She probed. Never. And what about this tale linking me and Regina? You wouldn't hurt her, would you? She questioned. How could I possibly know? She appears strangely fond of you, I countered. At 43, why don't you return to your paramours and let them deceive you instead? Then perhaps you'll see the extent of your deceitfulness, I retorted. In case you're wondering, I have offered myself to them, and they appreciated it, she boasted. Leave immediately and summon Regina here. I've had enough of your presence, I declared. She seemed amused, believing she was irritating me. She succeeded, but she was only fanning the flames that would eventually consume her. Upon Regina's arrival, she broke down upon seeing my bandaged state. Don't cry, dear. It's not as bad as it appears, I comforted her. We conversed about trivial matters before I asked, Is there something you can do for me? Sure, Dad, whatever you need, she replied. I handed her a list provided by Ringer, and she tucked it into her bra. Deliver this to Uncle Ken and tell him to visit me soon. My younger brother Ken was his name. We shared a difficult childhood under an abusive father, but I did my best to protect him from it. He excelled in computers and technology. Our conversation continued until Lily appeared and said, Regina, it's time for you to go. Regina ignored her, instead hugging me before departing. Depart immediately and bring Regina over here. I was finished speaking with you, I asserted. She seemed pleased, thinking she had found a way to get under my skin. She had succeeded, but she only served to fan the flames that would eventually consume her. Upon Regina's arrival, she burst into tears upon seeing me bandaged up. Don't cry, darling. It's not as severe as it seems, I consoled her. We exchanged pleasantries before I inquired, Is there something you can do for me? Of course, Father, whatever you require, she responded. I handed her a list received from Ringer, and she slipped it into her bra. Take this to Uncle Ken and ask him to visit me as soon as possible. My brother Ken was 3 years younger. We both endured an abusive father, but I tried to shield him from it as much as I could. He excelled in computers and technology. Our conversation continued until Lily reappeared and stated, Regina, it's time for you to depart. Regina chose not to respond to her, instead embracing me before exiting. Please leave this place and invite Regina to join us. I had enough of our conversation, I announced. She appeared pleased, convinced she was causing me distress. She succeeded in doing so, but she only intensified the fire that would ultimately consume her. When Regina arrived, she wept upon seeing my bandages. Please stop crying. It's not as serious as it seems, I advised her. We discussed trivial matters before I asked, Is there something you can help me with? Naturally, Father, whatever you need, she replied. I handed her a list from Ringer, and she tucked it into her bra. Deliver this to Uncle Ken and ask him to visit me immediately. My younger brother Ken was the name given. We had both suffered under an abusive father, but I endeavored to protect him as best I could. He proved himself skilled in computers and technology. Our discussion resumed until Lily reappeared and said, Regina, it's time for you to depart. Regina chose not to respond to her, instead hugging me before exiting. Lily remarked, Your daughter is as obstinate as you. I merely smiled as she departed. On a Tuesday, Ken stopped by. He expressed astonishment at my appearance. You appear better than last Friday, I playfully suggested. I'm glad I waited, he retorted. Then he switched to our private language, the one we devised in childhood for clandestine discussions about Mom and Dad. We use it whenever we need to speak privately. Regina or Gina, he said in that language. She provided me the list. I've begun some preliminary investigation. What are you seeking? Addresses of wives or consistent partners, I responded. He looked at me and then said in English, Oh no. In our language, I replied, That's all you have to do. Then give it to Gummy and tell him to visit me without the list. Gummy was one of my associates. Ken knew he resided in our parents' old home in Lansing. I can manage that. Is there anything else? Ken asked. That works, but don't stay away too long, I said. I could benefit from a few friendly faces occasionally, I admitted. Won't you be released soon? He asked. Only if I apologize, and you know me better than that, I countered. You've always been headstrong, he noted. Indeed, and it kept you safe from your father's drunken wrath, I reminded him. He acknowledged my truth with a smile. I'll drop by within the next fortnight. Check if there's anything else you need, he suggested. That would be beneficial, I agreed. Later in the week, I found myself back in my usual cell, and Ringer had hinted that something was cooking and there would be repercussions. They were unaware of what was to come. The guards' glances and the 6 inmates' warnings urged me to toe the line or face the consequences. Unbeknownst to them, they would soon learn their place. Gummy dropped by and said, Ken passed on the message. What's the plan? Did you catch wind of what happened to me? I asked. Yes, I did, he replied. Seems like Ken informed him. Time for retribution, but target their loved ones. I told him to organize it, using Steely Dan or his relatives as the means. He comprehended and nodded. Coordinate the plan for the same day and time, ensuring they are informed. Don't provoke Texas, I added. He promised to gather reinforcements before leaving. He would take revenge soon, making sure it couldn't be traced, but they'd know why. A week went by without any news. I was anticipating my daughter's visit and dreading seeing Lily. On Tuesday morning, I noticed the guards were absent, which was uncommon for a workday, and one of the 6 inmates appeared preoccupied and distraught. It likely occurred the previous day, I concluded. I instructed Ringer to disseminate the message, "Don't mess with Texas." Soon, other inmates began referring to me as Tex. Within a few days, the 6 inmates were glaring at me, and the guards kept a close watch, but Ringer's group was protecting me. When one of the 6 inmates approached, 8 of my allies encircled us. You are filth. My girlfriend left me because of you, he stated. Don't mess with Texas, he threatened. I smiled. That sounds like wise counsel, I replied. Now your women understand the pain. Retaliation with a twist. You harmed me. I retaliated against those dear to you. Next time, it'll be their mothers. His eyes grew wide, and he hastily returned to his companions. Not long after, 2 guards confronted me, swearing, "Who do you think you are? We'll turn your stay here into a nightmare." Well then, I suppose their wives should brace themselves for a bumpy ride. They might even find it thrilling, I replied. One of the guards attempted to strike me. I did not resist. After withstanding his blows for a few minutes, another guard intervened and pulled him away. Many prisoners observed the fight, as did the cameras. I'm certain. I was escorted back to the infirmary where Beth, the nurse who previously treated me, welcomed me. So we have a troublemaker, huh? She commented. I didn't retaliate with punches. The guard attacked me, I clarified. This time, there will be an investigation. There were too many witnesses. She assured it's probable he'll lose his job due to the incident. One less troublesome guard, I mumbled. Guards are here to ensure your safety, regardless of your feelings about it, Beth argued back. He didn't safeguard me the last time. In fact, he let it happen, I retorted. After bandaging me, Beth mentioned I would need to stay overnight for observation. I pondered if she was merely curious about my injured face. The guard was suspended, pending investigation. The other guard gave me cautious glances, but avoided confrontation. Perhaps he understood the message. Don't trifle with Texas. It had been 3 weeks since Gina visited, and I was anxious. Eventually, Ken stopped by to tell me that Lily was refusing to bring Gina for a visit. This enraged me even more. My ex-wife was preventing my daughter from seeing me. Towards the end of the month, Lily arrived, almost leaving Gina in the car. However, Gina refused to move despite all the shouting and raging by Lily. Lily burst in, already angry. Your daughter is unmanageable. She hardly talks to me anymore. You're just as stubborn as she is. You said the same thing before. Why not try convincing the judge to change the ruling and give me custody? I'd gladly take her in, but we both know that's not going to happen. She needs a strong academic environment to thrive, and Oak Forest seemed like a school she liked. It doesn't measure up to Wilmot. She'd get a better education and stronger connections there. She'll find her own way. She doesn't need anyone to chart it for her. You're just too stubborn to see the benefits. We've had this argument countless times. You're not changing my mind, and I'm not changing yours. So why are you here now? I didn't come to take Regina back. Her name is Regina, not Gina. That's not the name she chooses to go by. Don't you want her to be independent? I asked. You mean she's stubborn, Lily said, correcting me. Indeed, I meant self-governing. She was capable of her own thinking, choosing her path without influence from riches, power, or anyone named Johnson, I clarified. Her gaze sharpened, recognizing the latter comment was directed at her. In any case, she replied, I require my alimony payment. There are expenses to cover and bills to settle. Regrettably, you'll have to handle that with your own income. I can't receive checks from my corporation while in prison, nor should I explained. What do you imply? My income isn't sufficient for all the bills, she questioned. Well, you should have taken that into account before bringing me back to court, was my response. You were being obdurate, making payments with coins, she countered. And now you receive no payment because I'm in prison, I declared. But I must, she insisted. No, I don't, I retorted. What more can they do? Put me back in jail. I am already in jail. It wouldn't be wise for them to take me out just to put me back in, was my reasoning. Regarding the financial matters with the bills, she complained. Upon hearing this, I suggested she should ask one of her lawyer friends to cover the expenses since she holds significant value in their profession. In response, she angrily left the room. Gina entered and commented on my earlier confrontation, stating, "You really upset her." She believes I should continue providing spousal support despite being incarcerated. To this, I responded with a chuckle, "Best of luck with that." Turning the conversation to more personal matters, she inquired about my well-being. "Don't worry about me," I replied, echoing her earlier sentiment. "How are you doing? Have you been avoiding talking to your mother?" She acknowledged this was true and said she only speaks to her when necessary. Discussing my possible release date, she expressed hope that it would be soon so we could celebrate her upcoming birthday together. At the same time, she emphasized the importance of not compromising on principles for my freedom. The suggestion of a grand party when you're away stirred unease within me. I began contemplating if my stubbornness was unwarranted, as being here seemed to be causing distress to my daughter. Then Gina imparted some wisdom. A person without principles possesses nothing. As Abraham Lincoln stated, principles important and unyielding should be upheld, she recited. Where did you learn that? I inquired. My school counselor Alex, or Dr. Hodges, was the source, she explained. It's been beneficial to have someone to confide in about all this. Some teachers observed my grades declining and initiated a conversation with the counselor on my behalf. This dialogue also helps me manage my relationship with Mom, though I still haven't spoken to her. It appears even an affluent school like Wilmette would employ a PhD as their counselor. Those wealthy students couldn't just converse with any ordinary school counselor. Turning to Gina, I remarked, "It seems your mother isn't pleased with you either." "Yes," she replied, "she's growing increasingly irritated, or perhaps I'm merely dismissing it." Gina responded, "It appears to enrage her further, but I remain unfazed." I explained, "In a couple of months, she'll have to find another place to live because the bank won't postpone its payment for the jumbo loan indefinitely. Her mansion will likely be foreclosed within 3 months." Gina questioned, "Dad, won't that negatively impact your credit if the house gets foreclosed?" I clarified, "When one usually pays cash, credit concerns are irrelevant. That foolish mansion was the only debt I ever incurred." Gina expressed surprise. "Really, Dad? Despite all your rental properties and businesses, you never borrowed a loan." Gina admired me more after learning this. She said with a smile. I appreciated her compliments, saying it brightened my day. Spending time with my daughter was delightful, but I wished we could do so more frequently. Not attending her birthday would be difficult for us both, yet I knew she possessed strength. A week later, I found out that the guard who struck me lost his job. It was challenging to contradict the video proof showing I didn't retaliate. Subsequently, the other guard also departed. I'm unsure if he was reassigned, but at least he was gone. Many inmates thanked me for dismissing the problematic guards. I believe my reputation grew, and more people began addressing me as Tex. This led to fewer issues. The 6 inmates still harbored resentment towards me. I learned that one of their wives filed for divorce and 3 others were dumped by their girlfriends. Perhaps foolish people can learn. With the looming threat of retaliation and my improved standing among the inmates, they understood not to provoke me. A couple of weeks later, I was summoned to meet with the judge in the video room. When I informed the guard that I wouldn't meet anyone without my attorney, he insisted the judge was waiting, but I remained firm. I desired the presence of my attorney at the meeting, and it could be rescheduled since my calendar was clear. 3 days later, I was informed that the meeting was set for the following week. I requested a pre-meeting discussion with my attorney for strategic planning, which was granted. However, my lawyer mentioned he hadn't received any details about the meeting, finding it unusual. We decided to tread carefully. Upon the judge's arrival on video, he appeared displeased about the delay. I remained unfazed. To me, he was just an arrogant judge who believed himself superior. My attorney moved swiftly and began speaking. "Your Honor, could you explain the purpose of this meeting? We were provided no prior information, only instructions to attend. You didn't need to invite my lawyer," he said. "I merely wanted to ascertain if you intended to apologize for your conduct in court." Signaling to my attorney, I leaned in and whispered my response. To the court, my attorney responded on behalf of my client. "The client refuses to offer an apology and instead desires an apology from you. Moreover, he petitions for primary child custody." The judge showed surprise. "How could I ask for an apology? Clearly, he won't oblige. I stand firm with my decision regarding the child and no apology is due from me," the judge stated. As a result, this meeting has been unproductive. If my client changes his stance later, we shall request another hearing, concluded my lawyer. The judge added one more point, catching my attention. "I assumed this would reveal the actual purpose of the meeting. Your client is failing to adhere to the divorce conditions. When will he initiate spousal support and mortgage payments?" the judge asked. I conferred with my attorney again, relaying my reply. "My client won't make payments while he's incarcerated," my lawyer told the judge. "However, the house is facing foreclosure," the judge remarked. "That property is my wife's mansion, not mine." "I made it clear to you," I stated, speaking directly to the judge. "You'll damage your credit and forfeit your equity," he cautioned. "I'm prepared to bear that consequence to ensure my ex-wife faces justice," I replied sharply. Then, intending to provoke him, I remarked, "Perhaps her partners can cover the costs. With over a dozen of them, they should be able to manage." I was aware that suggesting my wife was promiscuous and implying he was one of her lovers would infuriate him. "You Southerner trash with no connection to this case, who do you think you're addressing?" he erupted. Before he could proceed, I intervened. "I'm speaking to someone who's had relations with my wife. If I've made a mistake, I apologize. However, I can't fathom why someone without a stake in this situation seems so invested." I stood and walked towards the door to depart. I heard the judge say, "Your client has just earned himself an additional 2 months in jail. If he continues to disrespect me, I'll make his life a living nightmare." I smiled as I waited for the guard to escort me back to my cell. He appeared dumbfounded, evidently taken aback by my actions. In my confinement, I was overflowing with vigor. It appeared my wife had disclosed our mortgage issue to her lovers, who subsequently conversed with the judge. What a predicament. Their day of reckoning was near. The ensuing Sunday, Lily felt compelled to see me in prison. Fortunately, Gina became aware of it and demanded her presence. "Thus, you once again provoked the judge and earned an additional 2 months. When will you comprehend that you cannot outwit the system?" Lily admonished. "Lily, why don't you simply cease speaking to me? Your Northside demeanor isn't beneficial. I merely require you to ensure Gina visits me frequently," I responded. She almost shouted, "It's Regina." I ignored her and declined further interaction. She persisted in complaining until she eventually departed, and then Gina arrived. She entered with a broad smile. I asked her why she was so elated. Because I get to see my father, she declared. That can't be the only reason, I said. You've got something hidden, and I can't disclose it just yet. Trust me, Dad, I replied wholeheartedly. Then she asked if I would sign an unread document she was holding. I stared at her warily. What's the catch? She only said you'd get 2 more months in jail confirmed. Is that true? She asked. Yeah, I apologize, dear one. How did this happen? There was a dispute with the judge again. Well, he probably had it coming. We talked about school and your mom some more. She repeatedly brought up Dr. Alex Hodges and asked about the situation. I tried to find out what my signed paper unveiled, but she remained tight-lipped. I promised you a birthday gift when you visit, though I won't be there for your sweet 16. What's the present? You inquired. I'll have it ready when we meet next. She expressed surprise. That's unexpected. It appears we each have our own surprises, I responded. Prior to her departure, I requested Gina to arrange for Greg to visit me. Greg was my trusted associate, overseeing all my business affairs. Of course, Dad, she assured. I had delegated some tasks to him in anticipation of my imprisonment. Here's hoping he completed them successfully. Now I had another assignment for him, Gina's birthday surprise. Later that week, Greg paid me a visit. He had taken care of most of the duties I assigned him. Then I informed him about Gina's birthday surprise. Are you certain about this? He questioned. Yes, it's an ideal present for her, I affirmed. I'll consult our lawyer, he agreed. Additionally, visit my brother Ken and deliver what you have. He'll know how to proceed. If he has any doubts, tell him to come see me. Otherwise, instruct him to contact Gummy. Understood, he replied before departing. A smile graced my face, understanding that Gummy would execute my retribution plots while I remained blameless in prison. Towards the month's end, my standing among fellow inmates escalated. It appeared that word had spread about my defiance against the judge. As with any rumor mill, the news traveled swiftly. Before long, everyone was addressing me as Tex. At the month's close, an unexpected guest arrived. Upon entering the room, I saw Lily sitting there. I considered leaving, but she held me back. Kurt, stay, she requested. I need to speak with you, she pleaded. I have nothing to tell you, Lily, I retorted. Our house is about to be seized. Please, you must give me some money to prevent the foreclosure, she begged. Lily, that house belongs to you. I never wanted it, but you persisted until I agreed. It holds no significance for me, and with the market crashing, there's no equity left in it. Let the bank take it, I stated decisively. You can't do that, Kurt. You must help me, she insisted. Seek assistance from your acquaintances. They likely possess adequate resources. She responded, this allows you to embrace your authentic self. Her question echoed, why are you acting this way? A torrent of words followed. Why did you falsely accuse me of molesting our daughter in court? She stood silent, acknowledging her guilt. Tears streaming down her face, she collapsed, and I departed, feeling liberated by voicing my thoughts. However, upon my return to my cell, the guard received a call and escorted me back. Assuming Lily would return seeking aid once more, I was taken aback to find Gina instead. Gina, your mother didn't inform me of your arrival, I remarked. I wouldn't let her come alone, she explained. I regret missing your birthday, I shared, but I have a gift for you regardless. Father, I anticipated your absence, and it's fine. I still cherish you, and there is no need for a present from you, she comforted me. What an exceptional daughter I possess, I mused. However, I don't have the gift with me now, but I can tell you what it is. Gina, the Oak Forest home belongs to you. The assets are being held in trust for you until you reach adulthood, and when I am released, can I reside there? I assured her I would pay rent if permitted. Later, Gummy arrived. All preparations were complete. We had secretly installed cameras by cleaners that captured my wife, other lawyers, and politicians engaging in illegal activities. We planned to reveal their actions to the public. My brother would anonymously publish the videos online with the tagline, "Don't mess with Texas." The news outlets and tabloids would be overwhelmed. Politicians and legal professionals would attempt to cover up. I informed him, next week, share details about our next move. He acknowledged my instructions. Understood. As I returned to my cell, I grinned again. Ringer observed and realized I had spoken with Gummy. He merely murmured, "Oh dear." I simply nodded, smiling more broadly. Upon the release of the videos, I was in my bunk. I heard whispers of the news spreading throughout the jail. It seemed it had reached us. People were saying, "Don't mess with Texas." Remarkably, one of the 6 inmates, a large man, visited my cell. He expressed regret for his actions. "I told you not to provoke me. Now others are regretting it. I return kindness with kindness and aggression with violence." He hoped I would accept his apology. Of course, but understand, size doesn't guarantee invincibility. He nodded and departed. 3 days later, a summons from the judge arrived. My lawyer was on their way. In the video conference room, awaiting the judge, my attorney smirked. "Wonder what this is all about." "Only time will tell," I smiled back. He grumbled, "Oh dear." When the judge entered, enraged and accusing me, they yelled, "You did this." I responded nonchalantly. "What do you mean? You're Judge Tex." "Indeed," they continued to yell. "I've been called that before," I said evenly. "You will pay for this," they yelled again. "I've been incarcerated for 4 months," I declared. "But how could I have done anything?" I asked. "We all have friends, Your Honor," I replied sarcastically. "You won't escape this," they threatened. "I don't know, Judge." "You may be losing your job and getting divorced," you said. He demanded that I halt my actions. "Now you're accusing my friend's dogs of something. He might not appreciate that." "A dog can bite if cornered," I cautioned. "Are you making threats?" I questioned. "Me? No, just repeating an old proverb," I explained. "He threatened to make your life difficult. Be careful and watch out for yourself. When you leave, you'll have to face people who don't care about you, and he'll be content with whatever happens," he warned before hanging up. I turned to my lawyer. "Did you get that?" "Yes," he acknowledged, showing his phone. "More evidence. The Bar Association will want to know. Intimidation is a felony in Illinois." A few days later, your wife came back. "Oh, it's you. I thought I made it clear I had nothing to say," I commented. "You son of a bitch," she yelled. "What's wrong?" I asked calmly. "It's because of you that my face is everywhere," she accused. "How could you?" she complained. "You didn't do it," I countered. "Don't you despise me that much?" I shot back. "Yes, and all those lawyer friends of yours who think they're superior to everyone else," I said. "You used to be a kind small-town girl with a fantastic personality. Now you're just a self-centered city snob," I added. "What should I do now?" "No job and nobody wants to hire me," she lamented. "Perhaps move back home with your family and start over," I suggested. "I can't. The local paper is labeling me as the center of a Chicago scandal. My parents are retiring early and moving to Florida to escape the rumors," she explained. "Florida could be good for you, far away from me," I commented. "But they don't want me either. They barely speak to me," she sighed. "Perhaps it's your fault if both your parents and daughter avoid you," I remarked. "You should move and begin anew, but leave Gina behind. Once I'm free, I'll fight for custody. With your tarnished reputation, they might reconsider you as a role model." "You can't do that. She's all I have," she objected. "I don't care. She's not coming with you. You brought this situation upon yourself. Our life was fine until you got involved in mischief. Perhaps you could serve as a companion for one of your lawyer acquaintances since you're nearly 40 and there may still be a market for you," I taunted, causing her to look distraught, lowering her head and crying at the table. "Too bad," I added. "Did you bring Regina?" She became angry, correcting me, saying, "It's Regina." "And no, she's with her doctor friend," she retorted angrily. "Then there's nothing more to discuss." "Don't bother visiting unless you bring Regina," I said as I walked away. This time, I didn't feel self-satisfied. I felt sorry for her, seeing how broken she was. The next day, I watched a news report about a fire on the top floor of a downtown office building that left it in ruins. The lower floors were saved by sprinklers. I couldn't help but smile. Ken visited me the following day, informing me that the law firm's offsite server had crashed, causing them to lose all their data. Once again, I just smiled. A couple of weeks later, Regina came to see me, smiling broadly. She must have convinced her mother to bring her along. Gina appeared happier than usual. "Hello, Gina," I said. "You seem very cheerful. What's new?" "I've completed your surprise," she replied. "I bet you can't guess," she added excitedly. Given our previous conversation, it seemed to concern the Oak Forest house. "It looks like you and your mother have moved back there," I surmised. "Almost," she responded mysteriously. I was perplexed. "What do you mean?" I asked. "My mother is being evicted from the Wilmot house, and I'm moving to Oak Forest," she disclosed. "How is that possible?" I inquired. "The court granted your mother custody until you reach adulthood," I reminded her. "That's the surprise." "You've been emancipated," she declared. "With the house held in trust for me, the process was straightforward. I needed a secure location, and our old neighborhood is ideal." "So now you're of legal age," I confirmed, still struggling to comprehend it all. "Correct," she replied. "Dr. Hodges assisted me when school became difficult due to home issues. Once I reach adulthood, we can return home. I'm eager to rejoin high school in Oak Forest and catch up with old friends." My daughter seems excited for school to resume, as Mom mentioned she met with her counselor named Alex. I expressed my interest in meeting him, feeling cautious about an older man's involvement with my daughter. Gina revealed that Alex had driven her around Chicago today, raising my concern. She then left to step out, indicating I needed to handle the situation delicately. Upon her return, she wasn't alone. A beautiful woman accompanied her and greeted me. "Freddie," she said after a 20-year hiatus, revealing that she was none other than Alexandria Frederico, who grew up in my neighborhood and attended school with me. Gina appeared puzzled. "Dad, how do you know Dr. Hodges?" I explained our past neighborly relationship, adding that we didn't socialize much back then. She teased me about being a troublemaker. Embarrassed, I acknowledged the consistency in my behavior. "Some things never change," she said. "That makes sense," she replied. "Shall I refer to you as Tex?" she inquired. "Why Tex?" I wondered. "Her nickname from childhood," she replied. He wasn't the type to forget or overlook. Suspecting her mother had wronged him and perhaps involved with the law firm's problems, she hypothesized. I invoked the Fifth Amendment. I joked it off. Before proceeding, she asked if I didn't mind spending time with Gina. "It's Gina," she corrected when called Regina. "My apologies for the mistake," she admitted. "When we first spoke 9 months ago, she was upset. Upon seeing her last name as D'Angelo and recognizing her father's name as Kurt, I connected her with you, Tex. Her confirmation that you were in jail further solidified my suspicion. At that time, I wasn't in the best of places, I confessed." "You seem to have turned things around to reside in Wilmot," she observed. "It's merely a house, not home," I clarified. "Our real home is Oak Forest," Gina interjected. "South Side, but better than where we grew up," Alex added. "Yes, wish we had stayed there. Things might have been different," I sighed regretfully. It was the truth. If Lily had been content, we wouldn't have parted ways. After our conversation, I thanked Freddie for aiding Gina. "Not a problem, Tex. She's more like kin," Freddie replied, showing affection. "I've become quite fond." "Thank you once again," I said. "When you're free, let me treat you to dinner," she proposed. "I'll ensure it if I ever get released," I responded with a sigh. The subsequent 2 weeks proceeded without alterations, sticking to the usual routine in prison. Gina and Freddie visited on both Sundays, which I welcomed. Freddie was indeed taking care of Gina. She informed me that Alex had assisted her in redecorating the house, acquiring fresh furniture and ornaments. When I inquired about the finances, Gina explained, "Uncle Ken's lending a hand, and I have my own savings recall." "Yes, I was merely concerned Freddie would cover the costs," I replied. "She's been wonderful, but no, she hasn't spent a dime," Gina clarified. "I trust it's not all feminine decor." "I want to feel comfortable in that place," I added. "Rest assured, your sanctuary down below remains undisturbed," she reassured, Speaking of the basement, my respite from cohabiting with two females. Once they departed, I contemplated my daughter's maturity. She's now a legal adult. Before long, I'll be alone again. In a few years, she would likely move to college. I wished to encounter someone who appreciated simplicity. Then Lily dropped by on Monday. I nearly walked away upon seeing her. "Kurt, hold up, we need to discuss something," she said. I sighed and faced her again. "What's this about?" "Don't you know what our daughter did?" Lily questioned. "What are you referring to?" I asked. "She emancipated herself. She's moved out, and I don't know where she is," Lily informed me. "Ah, that's right. So you were aware? Did you encourage her to do so?" Lily accused. "No, she did it with the help of her school counselor," I clarified. "She's back on the south side." "What about school?" Lily asked, concerned. "I told her she'll return to Oak Forest in the fall," I replied. She despised the Wilmette School, Lily. She continually faced ridicule due to her upbringing in public housing. They referred to it as the projects. You took her from a school where she was content with good companions and placed her in an environment that hurt her self-worth. You did more harm than help relocating her. "I aim to provide her with quality education," she argued back. "Children learn more from their parents' actions than classroom lessons. We taught her life's hardships." "What do you believe your behavior teaches her?" "I hope it demonstrates what not to emulate. Our goal is to raise well-rounded adults." "I hope we managed that despite our shortcomings, particularly in our marriage," I conceded. "It wasn't all negative," she disagreed, "but things turned sour. I hope you find what you seek." "Clearly, I failed to do so," was my response. Seeing her sadness and remorse, I walked away from the table feeling pity for her again. The day of my release eventually arrived. I was called to court. Gina, Freddie, and Lily were present. As I awaited the judge's verdict, I pondered what he would say. I had no intention of apologizing. Upon the arrival of a different judge, I stood up. Perhaps the previous one lost his position. After examining the evidence, the new judge addressed me. "Mr. D'Angelo, what is your defense?" "I've served an initial 6 months with additional 2, I replied. "You could have apologized and been released," he pointed out. I didn't believe the other judge deserved my apology, so I finished his sentence and spoke up. "I'm obstinate," the judge commented. "I prefer to be called strong-willed. It served me well in business and life," I countered. "Your divorce settlement remains unchanged, and you'll have to make restitution for the time not served," the judge ruled. Then my attorney interjected, stating, "Your Honor, my client is prepared to pay what he owes. Our calculation comes to approximately $20,000. Today, he will pay her the full $20,000, recognizing that he has fulfilled his financial obligations and no longer owes anything more." Lily stood up in objection. "What? You owe me more than that. You must continue making payments until Regina reaches her 18th birthday." The judge intervened sternly. "Miss, I will manage everything in this courtroom. Now, attorney, clarify your calculations." My client initially covered spousal support, mortgage, insurance, and his daughter's expenses. However, during his 8-month incarceration, he couldn't pay either the spousal support or the mortgage since he was unemployed. "Now that he can work, he can begin earning again," my lawyer explained. After examining the facts, the judge stated, "Your client was imprisoned for 8 months. Just the spousal support would amount to $16,000, excluding the mortgage payments." "Your Honor," the court order read, "until the minor child reaches adulthood. The child has been emancipated for the past 3 months, as evidenced. The house was foreclosed on 3 months ago, so no more loan payments are necessary. The remaining balance is $1,782. He agreed to give her $20,000 and end all connections," my attorney explained. The judge examined the documents and our calculations thoroughly. Given the facts presented, he couldn't argue otherwise. "I need more time to study this. If your information is correct, then I'll approve this sum," he said. Addressing both Lily and me, he added, "You have a shared child who still requires care and attention. Both of you must behave civilly for her sake." And Mr. D'Angelo, it would be beneficial to extend that civility to others involved in your divorce. To which I replied affirmatively. The judge then spoke to Lily again. She acknowledged as well. He also looked at Gina in the audience and asked, "Is it Gina?" She confirmed it was indeed her. "Unless these figures are proven false," he continued, "I will close this case." The judge allowed me to leave, saying, "Mr. D'Angelo, you are free to go." My lawyer expressed gratitude on our behalf. Leaving, Gina hastily embraced me firmly, while Freddie remained near, smiling. I spotted Lily glaring at us. Advancing towards me, she snapped, "$20,000? That's the offer? Unfair. Why? You picked your new associates over me. Now they can aid you," I replied evenly. "You can't do this to me," she protested. "Lily, let's be civil for Gina's sake," I suggested. "It's Regina," she retorted sharply. "Our daughter," I repeated. "What am I supposed to do?" "I have nothing," she lamented. "You'll secure another job, and I can assist with housing. I own a property you can stay in rent-free for 6 months," I suggested. "Return to the South Side," she complained. "It's free, Lily." "Can't argue with that," I reasoned. "Ah," she sighed disappointedly. Then addressing Gina and Freddie, I inquired, "Ready to depart?" "Certainly," they both confirmed. "Freddie, I owe you dinner," I recalled. "I believe the same," she concurred. "Let's go to RPM Italian. I've made a reservation following confirmation of availability. I need to rid myself of the taste of prison food," I proposed. From the side, I noticed Lily's irritation. RPM Italian was our place for special events. I arranged the table for 6:30, so we have some time. "Would it be all right if we took a drive? I just want to experience freedom," I suggested. Then addressing Freddie, I inquired, "I made a reservation for 4. Could you verify if your spouse can join us?" She remained silent, her face expressionless. Then Gina spoke up, "Dad, she doesn't have a husband anymore." "I never knew," I replied. "Freddie always wore wedding rings during our conversations, and she still had them on. What was I not aware of?" "I'm sorry, Freddie. I didn't mean to disturb you," I apologized. "It's all right. You weren't informed. My husband passed away in a car accident on the Eisenhower around 5 years ago. A tractor trailer forced him into the median. They said he died instantly," Freddie disclosed. "I apologize, Freddie. I didn't realize. I thought since you wore rings that you were married," I said regretfully. "I haven't found the heart to remove them," was your response. "It feels like letting go," I understood, as a psychologist myself. "Yes, I've heard it before," Freddie replied. "I'm sorry for my oversight. Will you still join us so we can make amends?" I inquired. She agreed with a serious expression. "I believe that will be all right." I recognized that I had been preoccupied with personal issues and revenge, neglecting to ask about your life. I felt remorseful. "I vowed to pay more attention to your story and be a better friend from now on." The dinner was delightful. It was refreshing to wear ordinary clothes and not feel the need to constantly watch my back. However, being free after 8 months felt a bit odd. By the end of the meal, I felt more at ease. I asked Freddie, "Alexandria, whenever you're ready, would you allow me to take you on an actual date?" You agreed to wait as long as it takes. Gina said, "Can we stay connected until later?" To which she responded, "Absolutely, we will." She added, "I'm not going anywhere that easily." Gina assured. In response, Freddie said, "That would be just fine by me." Later on, Gina explained to me, "Mike and I never had children. Between my studies and his business, the timing wasn't favorable. Having you as a sort of daughter has been healing for me. If that's all right with you, after all you've done for us, it wouldn't be any other way," I reassured her. As we were leaving the restaurant, Gina remarked, "I hope you like how our old house looks now." "Anything is better than where I've been the last 8 months," I quipped. Upon reaching there, I was taken aback. The shutters had been painted and the bushes trimmed. It looked wonderful from the outside, and it felt more like a home inside than ever before. I could sense Freddie's influence at work. Admittedly, tears began to form in my eyes. This hardened criminal was moved emotionally. "Kurt," Freddie called out. Wiping my eyes, I confessed, I feel as if I'm back home. Kurt, Alex replied. I looked at her, bewildered. She took off her rings, smiling at me. Intrigued, I returned the smile, and we embraced. 10 lawyers, 4 paralegals, 6 politicians witnessed their careers and marriages crumble due to my divorce's repercussions. Regardless of being labeled as stubborn or willful, adhering to principles can prove advantageous. On a brighter note, Gina acquired a new mother along with a younger brother and sister, both roughly half her age. They were twins, christened Frederick and Alexis. I found it fitting to name them after the one who assisted me in starting anew. As for Lily, she wed a prosperous lawyer, possibly attaining what she had always sought. Despite having a loving family, a good home in a desirable neighborhood, a thriving child, and a successful business that eased financial worries, she appeared to yearn for status above all else. Now, she enjoys that social standing, being married to a wealthy attorney living in a spacious home in Winnetka. Nevertheless, her spouse is uncaring and promiscuous, exploiting her for public image instead of sincere affection. I wish her satisfaction. I'm content myself.